Very welcome to the 2025 Nobel Prize ceremony here in the Stockholm Concert Hall. We're awaiting the laureates to arrive and enter the stage, after which the royal family, at least the King and Queen of Sweden, have entered the hall. Here we have the bust of Alfred Nobel, the reason why we're here today, the inventor who is the father of the Nobel Prize, of course. And the floral arrangements for the ceremony this year, as always, are donated from the city of San Remo in Italy, a tradition since 1905. Alfred Nobel spent his final years in San Remo, where he died in 1896. And this year's arrangement, created by Helene Magnusson, draws inspiration from nature's shifting seasons and its richness. And I think we can spot at least autumn in this composition. And we will hear some music from the Royal Stockholm Philharmonic Orchestra, conducted by Mika Eichenholz. And this afternoon's soloist is soprano Maria Bengtsson. The orchestra is performing today from a specially built stage on the choir gallery to make room for even more guests down on the podium. And in the parquet seats, you'll find mainly the laureate families, representatives from parliament and government, and members of the diplomatic corps. Each laureate may bring up to 14 guests. And now everybody rises for the King's Anthem. Prince Carl Philip, Princess Madeleine, and Mr. Christopher O'Neill have found their seats just below the podium. King Carl Gustaf and Queen Sylvia and Crown Princess Victoria have now entered. And Prince Daniel. Now that the Swedish royal family is seated, the ceremony has officially begun, and we now await the laureates to enter the stage. laureates took their seats on the stage to music by Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, Marching D Major. And here's a speech by Professor Astrid Söderberg Widing, Chair of the Board of the Nobel Foundation.
Nobel Prize laureates, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Nobel Foundation, it is my great honor and pleasure to warmly welcome you all to the 2025 Nobel Prize Award ceremony. In particular, I wish to welcome the Nobel Prize laureates, their families and friends. As we gather here in Stockholm for the festivities to celebrate this year's laureates, it is against a dark backdrop in the world at large. With its rapid, unpredictable, paradoxical, and tangled developments, it may seem hard to inspire trust and confidence in the future. In this world, Alfred Nobel's visionary legacy is a forceful reminder of the transformative powers of science, literature, and peace. Science is a lingua franca for humankind in exploring and expanding the frontiers of human knowledge. It is international in nature, and it creates a scientific community across borders, values that extend beyond the limits of science itself. This is particularly important to emphasize in times of division, polarization, and conflict on a global level. The prizes honor Nobel's principle that, I quote, "No consideration be given to nationality, but that the prize be awarded to the worthiest person," unquote. This year, the Physics Prize is awarded for experimentally establishing macroscopic quantum mechanical tunneling in superconducting systems, leading towards technology for quantum computers. The Chemistry Prize for the development of stable, extremely porous materials, materials that can be tailor-made to capture carbon dioxide, store hydrogen, or deliver pharmaceuticals in the body. And the prize in Physiology or Medicine for the discovery of a crucial complementary mechanism that prevents the immune system from attacking healthy organs, thus raising hopes for treatments of autoimmune diseases and new cancer therapies. They demonstrate how fundamental research, awarded for the greatest benefit of humankind, can also lead to groundbreaking applications. The prize in economic sciences in memory of Alfred Nobel for analyzing and modeling conditions for sustained growth lays bare the importance of scientific understanding of technological breakthroughs and how inventions lead to old companies losing out to new ones, that is, the role of creative destruction. And the Nobel Peace Prize, awarded today in Oslo in the absence of the laureate, is dedicated to the struggle for democracy, which is now threatened in so many ways across the globe. Clearly, this struggle is not without risk. Last, but definitely not least, the prize in literature this year is awarded to an authorship where melancholy and apocalypse seem to dominate the picture, but where the force of art and creation, unfathomable as it is, may still transcend the dark and violent powers. As the world is at its darkest here in the Northern Hemisphere, the Nobel lights illuminate not only the city, but also the world. Through knowledge, integrity, and excellence, Through creativity and inspiration, the laureates offer hope. They remind us that it is possible, through different paths, to address and come to terms with the many global concerns and challenges we face today. But their work also reminds us of our responsibility and the possibilities that lie within our reach. We must not just be passive spectators, but active contributors in defending the freedom of science and literature and the strive for peace, to transform the world into a better place for humankind.
See the Swedish Prime Minister and the Speaker of the Parliament there, and soon we will commence the prize presentation of the Nobel Prize in Physics. But first, some music.
Sono ansiosa di sapere come il conte accolse la proposta. E quanto ardito il progetto mi par. E ad uno sposo sì vivace e geloso, ma che malci, cangiando i miei vestiti con quelli di Susanna e suoi conigli, ai favor della notte. Oh cielo, a qual umiltà fatale io son ridotta da un consorte crudel, che dopo avermi connesto inaudito d'infedeltà, di gelosia, di sdegni, e di offesa, e alle fin tradita. Cercar da una mia servaita, dove sono e vivamente di dolcezza e di piacere. Dove andaro e giovamente di quella bronzoglie
soloist Maria Bengtsson performed a piece from The Marriage of Figaro by Mozart, together with the Royal Stockholm Philharmonic Orchestra. And now we will hear the speech by Professor Göran Johansson presenting the Physics Prize.
Your Majesties, Your Royal Highnesses, esteemed Nobel Prize laureates, ladies and gentlemen. The fundamental and yet counterintuitive laws of quantum physics have inspired human imagination since they were discovered. 100 years ago, in the summer of 1925, Werner Heisenberg discovered matrix mechanics while escaping pollen and hay fever on the tiny rocky island of Helgoland in the North Sea. In December that same year, Erwin Schrödinger took a train through 19 tunnels to reach the small, beautiful mountain village of Arosa in Switzerland, where he first wrote down his wave equation, which governs the motion of quantum mechanical particles during a Christmas skiing vacation. Based on Schrödinger's description, it was immediately clear that if an electron could go skiing, it would somehow simultaneously explore the path both to the left and the right of any tree down the hill. When you and I ski, not choosing a specific route around the tree would lead to a painful disaster. Furthermore, quantum particles can explore the other side of seemingly impenetrable barriers as if they dig their own tunnels on the fly, while Schrödinger's train certainly needed real tunnels. Our human bodies, as well as trains, exclusively consist of quantum particles. So how come we have no personal experience of such quantum tunneling? The main reason is that these striking quantum features are extremely sensitive to interaction with the environment. Large composite objects upon which we build our intuition interact far too strongly, both with us and with the rest of their environment, to behave in a quantum manner. Thus, to observe fragile quantum effects in larger systems, they need to be very carefully isolated, even more than what Heisenberg and Schrödinger themselves needed for their initial theoretical discoveries. This year's Nobel Prize laureates in physics, John Clark, Michel Devoret, and John Martinez, managed to give billions of... Yes, we can wait a little. I have... managed to give billions of electrons moving in an electric circuit on a silicon chip enough secluded privacy to collectively exhibit both quantum tunneling and energy quantization. This involved cooling them down to only 1/100th of a degree above absolute zero, cooler than in outer space. This freezes out most of the disturbing environment and forces the electrons to form so-called Cooper pairs, thereby losing their identity, all behaving in exactly the same way and becoming superconducting. In order to control these Cooper pairs with microwaves, but still shield them from the abundance of thermal microwaves at room temperature, they invented a new type of filter, damping the signal 20 orders of magnitude before reaching the system. If you would listen to a rocket launch through a similar sound filter, it would sound far less than a ticking watch. The amazing and curiosity-driven discovery that superconducting electrical circuits on a silicon chip, like this one here, clearly visible to the naked eye and containing billions of electrons, can still exhibit the delicate quantum effect of tunneling, as well as absorbing microwaves in small packages, or quanta, just like natural atoms, established superconducting circuits as a platform for exploring quantum physics with engineerable artificial atoms, as well as for developing future quantum technology. Professor John Clark, Professor Michel Devoré, Professor John Martinez. You have been awarded the 2025 Nobel Prize in Physics for the discovery of macroscopic quantum mechanical tunneling and energy quantization in an electric circuit. It is an honor and a privilege to convey to you, on behalf of the Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences, our warmest congratulations. I now ask you to step forward to receive your Nobel Prizes from the hands of His Majesty the King.
And now it's time for the physics laureates eager to receive the prize to actually get the diploma and the prize medal from His Majesty the King. First, Professor John Clark. John Clark, born in Cambridge, UK, affiliated with the University of California in the United States. Now, Michel Devoré, born in Paris in France, affiliated to Yale University in the United States and the University of California. Professor John Martinez, born in the United States, also at the University of California. Good friend of Michel Devoré's. They've been friends in the 1980s. Apparently getting together for a movie night is on the top of their wish list when they meet, apart from receiving Nobel Prizes then, as they are today. Chemistry presentation now by Professor Olof Ramström.
Your Majesties, Your Royal Highnesses, esteemed Nobel laureates, honorable colleagues, excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Consider for a moment the importance of holy materials, porous structures that can be used for a large variety of purposes, while accommodating smaller entities into their many cavities. How would one make the wholes? In other words, how would one make nothing from something? Well, one may think of a subtractive manufacturing method where material is removed to create the cavities. However effective this method might be, this may not be very practical at the molecular scale, perhaps especially when the holes are of nanometer size. A better method could be to use an additive manufacturing process. In this case, the holes would be indirectly formed by adding the materials surrounding them. Even better would be if the added building blocks could arrange themselves in a kind of programmed assembly process. Doing this by means of chemistry at the molecular scale is very challenging. Nevertheless, this is what our laureates have developed and perfected, leading to what is called metal organic frameworks, or MOFs. For this, they adopted coordination chemistry, where metal-based nodes are linked together with organic or carbon-based molecules, thereby creating a whole lot of nothing. Ordered nothingness, the holes inside. Richard Robson, for example, produced a diamond-like material with spacious cavities based on the assembly between copper ions and tetratopic or four-armed organic molecules. He also conceptualized the process and demonstrated the utility of such materials. Susumu Kitagawa demonstrated gas adsorption as an important application. He made a tailored MOFs that could take up or release gases such as methane or nitrogen. Kitagawa also championed development of flexible or soft frameworks. This led to controllable, shape-shifting materials where the whole structure can be varied upon demand. Omar Yagi demonstrated that stronger interactions between the building blocks led to greatly improved properties. For example, he developed an iconic MOF structure, MOF5, which exhibited not only very high stability, but also a very large surface area. The MOF contained thousands of square meters per gram, which also showed that the MOFs are competitive for industrial applications. Yagi further conceptualized the field by demonstrating how programmed assembly of MOFs can be made systematically. By varying the building blocks, large families of wholly structures could be made with the same basic geometry or topology. The accomplishments of our laureates have had an enormous impact on our society. Their remarkable chemistry has enhanced our capabilities and considerably widened and deepened our knowledge and understanding. As a consequence, the field has expanded rapidly, and many thousands of MOFs have now been developed. These frameworks have been tailored for a large variety of different applications, ranging from gas storage and carbon capture to atmospheric water generation and drug delivery. Susumu Kitagawa, Richard Robson, and Omar Yagi. You have made groundbreaking discoveries in chemistry that have led to the development of metal organic frameworks. This is a truly great achievement for the benefit of humankind. On behalf of the Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences, I wish to convey to you our warmest congratulations. May I now ask you to step forward and receive your Nobel Prizes from the hands of His Majesty the King.
Professor Susumu Kitagawa, born in Kyoto, Japan, where he still works at the Kyoto University. Professor Richard Robson, born in 1937 in Glasgow, UK, has travelled much farther and built his career at the University of Melbourne, Australia. University of California can claim the fame of several Nobel Prizes this year. This one goes to Professor Omar Yaghi, born in Amman in Jordan. Before we move on to the Physiology Medicine Prize, time for some more music. Fanfare for the Common Man by American composer Aaron Copland. Here are some of the Swedish party leaders of the parliament. And now it's time for Professor Olle Kempe to deliver the presentation speech for the Nobel Prize.
Your Majesties, Your Royal Highnesses, esteemed Nobel Prize laureates, ladies and gentlemen.
Medicine.
This year's Nobel Prize in Physiology or Medicine honors discoveries that explain how our immune system is agile, adaptable, and skillful in defending us against invading microorganisms, while usually preventing collateral damage to our own tissues in this process. Every day, we are in intimate contact with countless viruses, bacteria, fungi, and the occasional parasites. And during today's celebrations, we will undoubtedly expose ourselves to a few more airborne microorganisms. And as we shake a great many more hands, the corresponding risk of contact transmission will increase. Many organisms are masters of disguise. They wear molecular clothing that resembles our own, making it a delicate balancing act for the immune system to recognize and eliminate invaders without turning its weapon to the body itself. When this balance fails, autoimmune disease develops. To prevent such friendly fire, certain immune cells undergo a rigorous education in an organ called the thymus, known in Swedish as brässen, located in our chest. It is also, as it happens, it's also a culinary delicacy. So if we're lucky, there is a small chance that it may even appear on the menu this evening. Professor Shimon Sakaguchi became intrigued by a curious observation. Newborn mice whose thymi are removed just 3 days after birth develop severe autoimmune disease. He set out to identify which cells went missing when the thymus was gone. After years of meticulous work, he discovered a subset of cells marked by CD4 and CD25 that prevented autoimmunity. Around the same time, Dr. Mary Brankov and Dr. Fred Ramstell were investigating a peculiar mouse known as the scurfy mouse, so named for its flaky skin and widespread inflammation. This mouse has first appeared, of all places, in a large breeding colony during the Manhattan Project in the 1940s. Only males were affected by autoimmunity, hinting that the gene lay on the X chromosome. Narrowing down the culprit to a small region on the X chromosome with 20 genes, Drs. Brankov and Ramstell embarked on the painstaking journey of sequencing one gene after the other. The final gene at the bottom of the list turned out to be the key, FOXP3. A few years later, Professor Sakaguchi and others could show that his previously identified cells, now known as regulatory T cells, depend on FOXP3 for their identity and function. These regulatory T cells keep our immune system in balance, preventing autoimmunity while ensuring that immune responses against infection remain strong, but not excessive. Unfortunately, tumors have also learned this lesson too well, often surrounding themselves with regulatory T cells to evade the body's immune attacks. The discoveries made by this year's Nobel Prize laureates reveal one of nature's most elegant balancing mechanisms. How the immune system restrains itself to protect the very body it serves without attacking it. Their work opens new avenues to treat autoimmune diseases, enhance cancer immunotherapy, and promote transplant tolerance. Doctors Brankov, Bramstell, and Sakaguchi, you have uncovered a fundamental principle of natural peripheral self-tolerance, a mechanism that keeps our immune system powerful yet disciplined. On behalf of the Nobel Assembly at the Karolinska Institutet, it's my great privilege to convey to you our warmest congratulations. I now invite you to step forward to receive the Nobel Prize from the hands of His Majesty the King.
The first of the three laureates to receive the prize is Dr. Mary Branco, active at the Institute for Systems Biology in the United States. Tearful moment for family and friends here, and she's followed by Dr. Fred Ramsdell, born in Elmhurst, United States, at the Sonoma Biotherapeutics in the United States. And finally, Professor Shimon Sakaguchi. Sakaguchi, born in Nagahama, Japan, affiliated to the Osaka University in Japan. Before we move on to the Literature Prize, we will enjoy some more music. Sunrise from The Chosen One by Swedish composer Ture Rangström. The Literature Prize will be presented in Swedish according to custom by Professor Anders Olsson, member of the Swedish Academy, also chair of the Nobel Committee for Literature.
Eders Majestäter,
Your Majesties,
ärade Nobelpristagare,
dear Nobel Prize laureates,
mina damer och herrar.
ladies and gentlemen.
Med årets
This year's award of the Literature Prize to Hungarian author Laszlo
Krasznahorkai belönas en
recognizes a rare force in contemporary literature.
litteratur. Redan med
His
sitt debutverk
debut
Satan
work
Tango
from
från
1985, Satan Tango, created a sensation.
med stark
In it, he portrays, in powerfully suggestive terms, a dejected group of souls on a largely abandoned collective farm just before the fall of communism. All is marked by misery and inertia until two shabby figures unexpectedly appear as messengers, either of hope or of the Last Judgment.
omöjligt
It's
att
impossible
veta
to know
vilket.
which. The deceitful pretenses leave almost everyone entirely duped.
Det apokalyptiska
This
temat
apocalyptic
skruvas upp
theme
ytterligare
is further heightened in Krasznahorkai's second major novel, The Melancholy of Resistance, which is set in a small town in Carpathian Valley.
i Karpaterna. Olycksbådande
Ominous signs abound, most conspicuously when a ghostly circus rolls in with a giant stuffed whale as its main attraction. The
Spektaklet
spectacle sets extreme forces in motion, resulting in both violence and vandalism. Masterfully portrayed in nightmarish scenes is the brutal struggle between order and disorder, where no one escapes the effects of terror. In his subsequent works, Krasznahorkai further develops his existentially penetrating writing, rooted as it is in a Central European tradition of dark absurdism and burlesque humor that extends from Franz Kafka to Thomas Bernhard. In the contemporary novel Herscht 07769, he presents the young and powerful hero as a holy fool in the Dostoevskian sense, infinitely compassionate but rather lacking in intellectual gifts.
Oändligt medkännande, men med desto svagare förståndsgåvor. Med brio.
With brio, he confronts the panic that arises upon the outbreak of violence in a small German town in Thuringia.
Mot fonden av det lokala
Against the backdrop of Johann Sebastian Bach's local legacy, terror and beauty are irreconcilably opposed. In a single sentence extending to 400 pages, the novel manages not only to capture the complexity of reality, but to eclipse it, employing language that becomes a form of music. Krasznahorkai's signature as a writer is a flowing syntax that encompasses both weightiness and lightness, melancholy and elation, tall tales and poetic intensity. His inner quest led him early on to China and Japan, which broadened the Central European context of his work, lending it a new contemplative tone. This is particularly true of the magnificent prose collection, Seoboda Below, which is dedicated to the role of art in a world of blindness and impermanence. Here, European disillusionment meets Eastern mysticism, as in the opening paragraph where the protagonist, on his morning walk through Kyoto, catches sight of a majestic snow-white heron standing entirely motionless in a riverbed at the heart of a bustling metropolis. A hub of stillness is revealed in the midst of chaos. Equally unexpected, but less contemplative, is the insight reached by a simultaneous interpreter while on a visit to Shanghai in one of the short stories from the 2013 collection, The World Goes On. After a long day, the man, heavily drunk, finds himself lost in a spectacular traffic inferno known as the Nine Dragon Crossing. What follows resembles a modern version of the myth of Theseus, who becomes a prisoner in the labyrinth where the monster is confined. But Krasnahorkai does not simply recount a story. He transforms this sense of disorientation into language that induces a singular exhilaration in the reader, drawing us into its insane centrifuge. We never learn how the man manages to find his way back to his hotel room, only of his sudden realization, upon hearing the roar of a waterfall on TV, that everything in life is connected. What is it he's actually experiencing? All hope does not, therefore, appear to be lost in this dark world. It is just that we do not know how or when it will emerge. There is perhaps a hidden Heraclitean order in the disorder amidst the wars that tear our poor world apart. It is Laszlo Krasnahorkai's greatness as a writer to have succeeded in combining an artistic gaze entirely free of illusion that sees through the fragility of the orders established by man with an unwavering faith in the power of literature. Dear Laszlo,
on behalf of the Swedish Academy, it is my privilege to convey to you our warmest congratulations on being awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature 2025. May I now please ask you to step forward and receive your prize from His Majesty the King.
A diploma, a unique work of art created by leading Swedish artists and calligraphers, a medal that depicts Alfred Nobel, and also a prize amount of 11 million Swedish kroner constitutes the Nobel Prize. Hoorays for Laszlo Krasnahorkai. seasick about after this? It's okay. The piece by Anna Klein is called Restless Oceans, performed by the Stockholm Philharmonic Orchestra. And that brings us up to the final prize, the Sveriges Riksbank Prize in Economic Sciences in memory of Alfred Nobel.
Your Majesties, your Royal Highnesses, esteemed laureates and dear colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, 1.5%. This year's prize in economic sciences is about the power of 1.5%. Close to zero, you might think. But when it represents sustained economic growth, 1.5% rather than zero means everything. For most of the history of humankind, growth was negligible. Living conditions barely changed between generations. But over the last 2 centuries, steady economic growth of 1.5% per year has instead become the norm, lifting masses of people from poverty, doubling life expectancy, and laying the foundation for our welfare. But what is economic growth about? Perhaps the word more comes to mind. More money, more work, more energy, more consumption, more of everything. During the first phases of growth, more was certainly important, and it still is in poor countries. There, more food, more medicine, more resources, more energy are required for a better livelihood. But over time, the content of economic growth has evolved. In modern societies, it is no longer all that much about more. It's about new and better. This year's laureates shows that growth over the last 2 centuries comes from a steady stream of technological improvements. New medicines, safer cars, better food, better ways of heating our homes and lighting them, and new ways to communicate over great distances are just a few dimensions of what we call growth. New and better products and methods replace the old in a process we call creative destruction. Over 1 or 2 centuries, almost everything changes. Joel Mokyr demonstrated that for this process to work, practical knowledge must be intertwined with scientific understanding. Before growth started, these 2 types of knowledge were disconnected. In Mokyr's own words, it was a world of engineering without mechanics, iron making without metallurgy, farming without soil science, mining without geology, water power without hydraulics, and medical practice without microbiology and immunology. This disconnect made it very hard to improve upon technological discoveries, be it in steel making, medical treatments such as vaccines, or the value of doctors washing their hands before surgery. The Enlightenment and the scientific revolution changed that. Scientific understanding about why things work became linked to practical knowledge about how things work. This produced a self-propelling spiral that gave us a continuous flow of new, useful knowledge, a spiral that is still today producing new and better. Creative destruction is turbulent. Firms and jobs are continuously destroyed and replaced. By inventing a mathematical model of the whole economy, Philippe Aghion and Peter Howard showed that despite this turbulence, creative destruction results in steady growth, decade after decade. Their model and its further development have become a laboratory, producing a wealth of important lessons for society. These include that markets left alone often provide too weak incentives for innovations, but also that incentives, in fact, sometimes can be too strong, and safety nets that help workers transition to new and better jobs are required. Their work also shows that since new ideas build upon old ones, the direction of innovation is often persistent. It can get trapped
in unwanted paths, such as the reliance on fossil fuels. The models show how society then can steer innovation in a sustainable direction. Joel Mokyr, Philippe Aghion, and Peter Howitt, you have uncovered the preconditions for and the mechanisms underlying innovation-driven growth. Your work provides society with a better chance to make sure that economic growth can continue and be directed to deliver new and better to mankind. It's an honor and a privilege to convey to you, on behalf of the Royal Swedish Academy of Sciences, our warmest congratulations. I now ask you to receive your prizes from His Majesty the King.
Joel Mokyr, born in the Netherlands, has spent the lion part of his academic career at the Northwestern University outside of Chicago in the United States of America. First of the 3 laureates to receive the Economics Prize. French professor Philippe Aghion, who is affiliated to the Collège de France in Paris and the London School of Economics. Last but not least, Professor Peter Howitt, born in Canada and now living in Hendersonville, North Carolina, close to a golf course. He's a great golfer. I think he has 3 hole-in-ones, and now he has a Nobel Prize as well. The Swedish national anthem, it's time to wrap this up. It's time for the